This is 8 News Now.
Were you aware that there was a chance you could go back?
Yes.
What was that like, knowing that?
I didn't let myself think about it. I just decided to live every day for that day and make the best out of the time I had.
A woman will head back to prison after she was released early. She committed violent crimes, but insists she's turned her life around.
A judge wanted to give her a chance, but that judge is accused of breaking some rules.
It's a criminal case with a lot of twists, a lot of turns. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy has the story you'll only see on 8.
Today, I'm a survivor.
Maya Christman is now 30 years old. At the age of 18, she committed an armed robbery. She was part of a violent home invasion. One man pistol whipped another victim, an elderly woman, and she drove a car in a high-speed police chase, which left another driver severely injured.
What would you say to those victims today?
I'm so sorry. I pray for them every day.
She had pleaded guilty to 2 felonies. As defense attorney Betsy Allen appealed Christman's case, one thing stood out to her.
She has a very long history of trauma.
Christman claims her co-defendant was her pimp.
She was 18. He was almost 34. She was totally under his control.
In 2021, Clark County District Court Judge Erica Ballou vacated Christman's sentence, pointing to her previous attorney's, quote, lackluster performance, meaning the attorney should have brought up Christman's history at sentencing, including child abuse, sexual abuse, and more. By then, Christman had served 6 years in prison. Her sentence had required a minimum of 10.
It felt like somebody took a chance on me.
Ballou's decision came after former Judge Stephanie Miley testified. She wasn't informed about much of the trauma or PTSD at the sentencing, and it could have changed her decision. But she also said she did know Christman was the victim of sex trafficking in California, and her alleged pimp there kept her in a cage. It's part of the reason she gave Christman several chances, allowing her to remain out of custody before she was sentenced. But Christman failed to show up in court. Miley felt Christman was, quote, gaming the system. So do prosecutors.
She convinced the authorities that she was going to cooperate and provide information about her co-conspirators. So she was released from custody so that she could cooperate. That's how the system works sometimes. She failed to cooperate, she absconded. And then it was years later that she then raises the subject of her being a sex trafficking victim.
Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson says his office has no proof Christman's co-defendant was her pimp. While Christman became a free woman, prosecutors argued to the Nevada Supreme Court, which decided Judge Ballou needs to send Christman back to prison to finish her sentence, an order Ballou didn't immediately follow.
What do you think of Judge Ballou's actions throughout this case?
I believe that she defied the Supreme Court orders twice.
How rare is that for a judge to defy the Nevada Supreme Court's orders?
It's extremely rare.
In the meantime, Christman had relocated to California. She says she was learning to become a barber and found housing. She also had a baby.
One of the arguments is that you knew this case was pending. So why?
Well, let me clarify. I didn't just go get knocked up. I used protection. My son was made and conceived with protection and birth control. It was God's will at that point.
What about the argument that she's stayed out of trouble now that she's been out of prison and she has a baby?
That's a red herring, okay? She stayed out of trouble while she absconded twice, okay? Number one. Number two, getting pregnant, okay, what can I say about that? Justice needs to be served.
Christman went to the Pardons Board in March. The victim of the car crash had written this letter stating she forgives Christman and believes she should be given an opportunity to prove she turned her life around. But Christman was denied. Attorney General Aaron Ford, in the minority, stated the sex trafficking should be given more consideration, while Supreme Court Justice Douglas Herndon pointed to Judge Ballou's actions.
This is kind of turning our pardons process on its head. It's being made because, quite frankly, the walls are closing in on a district court that is shockingly refusing to do its job.
State of Nevada versus Maya Christman.
Judge Ballou set a date for Christman to turn herself in April, then canceled it and set another hearing in May, giving Christman another chance despite the Nevada Supreme Court's orders.
I did make my mistakes and I did my wrong, but I was also a victim. I was a kid.
She says her baby may now end up in the same child welfare system she was once in. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Christman's co-defendant Michael Saunders received a sentence with a minimum of 8 years. He's back in prison for voluntary manslaughter after prosecutors say he killed a man.